Hello, everyone. Welcome to our first virtual NatureWorks program. I'm Melissa Reckner, and I'm the program manager at Penguin Court, which is a preserve of the Brandywine Conservancy that is located in Laughlintown, Pennsylvania. Together with the BottleWorks Ethnic Arts Center in Johnstown, we are bringing you this series of presentations and programs to encourage you to get outside. And with so many more people finding refuge and respite in nature because of the pandemic, we thought it would be smart to review the 7 principles of being outdoors, kind of etiquette, more or less, of how to be kind to the people in nature with you, to the wildlife, and also to the environment. So I'm really happy today to be introducing you to Amanda Galvin, who is the outreach specialist at REI's Distribution Center in Bedford. So Amanda, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks so much for having me, Missy. This is going to be fantastic.
I'm looking forward to it. So Amanda prepared a PowerPoint. She is going to start sharing her screen and reviewing those 7 guiding principles.
As Missy said, I am Amanda. I'm from REI Co-op. Thanks so much for tuning in to Virtual NatureWorks this year. It sounds like we're going to have a full schedule, so I hope you are learning lots today. So let's just go ahead and dive right in. So first, a little bit about who we are and why I'm here talking to you about Leave No Trace today. REI stands for Recreational Equipment Incorporated. We're a member-owned outdoor co-op. We believe that time outside is fundamental to life well lived. We believe that it's in the wild, untamed, and natural places that we find our best selves. Our mission is to connect every person to the power of the outdoors and engage them in the fight to protect it. And this, my dear friends, begins with you. Every single person's actions matter to the planet, and the more we can do to lessen our impact, the better. So what is Leave No Trace anyhow? Well, Leave No Trace is a set of guidelines we use to help protect the outdoors. These rules can and should be used everywhere we go, from deep in the woods to local parks and even in your own backyard. Let's learn how we can protect and enjoy our natural world together. To help us learn about Leave No Trace, let's meet the PEAK characters. PEAK stands for Promoting Environmental Awareness in Kids. Together with the Center for Outdoor Ethics and REI, we created this program for you guys today. So we have Pointer the compass, Trek and Track the boots, Digger the trowel, Flash the camera, Sparks the camp stove, Zooms the binoculars, and finally we have Pitch the tent. North, south, east, west, he always knows which direction is best. His name is Pointer. He makes sure folks are prepared so they don't get lost or hurt. The first Leave No Trace principle is know before you go. Be prepared. Learn about the area that you're going so you know the rules and what to expect. Some places don't allow campfires, or there are certain rules on how you need to store your food. You can do this by having your parents check online or even talking to a ranger ahead of time to get the lay of the land. Use maps to show where you'll be going and so you won't get lost. You want to make sure you're checking the weather before you go so that you don't forget to pack extra clothes to protect you from the cold, heat, or the rain. This is Trek and Track. They like to tell you that it's really important to stick to trails. That way you won't get lost or step on fragile plants and wildflowers. The second Leave No Trace principle is choose the right path. Stay on the main trail to protect nature and don't wander off by yourself. Steer clear of flowers or small trees because they are fragile, and once they hurt, they may not grow back. Use existing camp areas. The best campsites are found, not made. And you want to make sure you camp at least 100 big steps from roads, trails, and water. This is Digger. He helps people trash their trash because nobody likes seeing litter or toilet paper out in nature. You guessed it, leave no trace. Principle number 3 is trash your trash. Pack it in, pack it out. Put litter, even your crumbs, into trash cans so you can carry it home. Even apple cores or banana peels should be carried out. If you wouldn't already find it in nature, it doesn't belong there. Animals can get sick and even learn that humans equals food, which is not good. Use bathrooms or outhouses when available. If you have to go when you're outside, you want to act like a cat, dig yourself a 6 to 8 inch deep hole and bury your poop. You want to make sure you're doing this 100 big steps from the water so that you're not going to contaminate the water. And your toilet paper, you actually want to put in a plastic bag and put it in the garbage or take it back home with you, because that's going to take a long time to break down in there. And you want to also make sure you're keeping water clean. You do that by not putting soap, food, or even poop in lakes or streams. Even soaps that say biodegradable can harm the fish and other critters. This is Flash. He makes sure people leave what they find by taking photos instead of taking things home. Besides those shells and rocks, those never look as cool in a drawer as they do in nature. The 4th principle is leave what you find. Leave plants, rocks, and historical items as you find them so the next person can enjoy them. Stacking rocks is fun, but critters use these rocks as shelter, and when you move them around, you're disturbing their home. Treat living animals with respect. Hacking or peeling can kill them. Animals rely on wildflowers for food or even pollen, so it's best not to pick them. Instead, bring a camera along and take a picture of anything neat you find outside so you can share it with other people. You also want to make sure you're not digging trenches or building any structures in your campsite. You want to leave it as you found it. And this is Sparks. He doesn't like seeing our forest burn down, so he teaches people how to be careful with fire. You want to use a camp stove for when you're cooking. It's easier to cook on and safer than fire. Especially if it's warm outside, you don't necessarily need a campfire. Also, you want to make sure it's okay to build a fire in the area that you're visiting. Dry places like the desert are at a higher fire risk, so they sometimes have fire bans. You want to make sure you use existing fire rings to protect the ground from the heat, and keep your fires small. Remember, campfires aren't for trash or food. They hardly ever burn all the way down, so you want to make sure you're not putting that in there. And as far as firewood, you want to make sure that you're not snapping branches off of live, dead, or downed trees. Instead, you want to collect small sticks from the ground. Dead trees and logs are home for many critters in the forest, so they're best left alone. If you do bring your own firewood, you want to make sure that you're getting it locally so that you don't introduce any invasive bugs into the area. And if you do bring firewood, burn it all to make sure that you're not taking that back home with you as well. You want to make sure you burn all your wood to ash and make sure that the fire is completely out and cold to the touch when you leave. All right, you've spotted him. His name is Zunes. With him, people can respect wildlife by looking at them from afar and not getting too close. We wouldn't want to scare the animals now, would we? So the 6th leave no trace principle is respect wildlife. Observe animals from a distance and never approach, feed, or follow them. Remember that we are guests in their house, so let's be good ones. Bear cubs sure are cute, but Mama Bear doesn't like you bothering her kids and can get a little upset. Human food is unhealthy for all animals, and feeding them starts bad habits. Protect wildlife and your food by storing your meals and trash properly. You also want to make sure that if you have your dog with you, it is under control at all times, or it's just best to leave them at home. You know you want to take your animals with you on adventures, so just make sure you're doing it responsibly. And then we have Pitch. She teaches kids about camping on durable surfaces and how to act around other visitors. The 7th and final Leave No Trees principle is be kind to other visitors. Make sure you're having fun in the outdoors does not bother anyone else. Remember that other visitors are there to enjoy the outdoors. So instead of playing loud music, turn it down. Or better yet, just listen to nature. Avoid making loud noises or yelling. You will see more animals if you're quiet. Picking up after your pet is also very important. It can harm wildlife and other visitors might step in it. Yuck. At night, you want to make sure you keep your flashlight or headlamp pointed down toward your campsite and not into other people's. And when hiking, you want to stop on the downhill side if there are groups coming up to allow them to pass. All right, now that we have learned our Leave No Trace principles, let's do a little activity. This is Camp Oh No, so we're going to take a look at this campsite and find all the things wrong with it.
So here we are looking at the campsite. So let's take a look and see what we can spot wrong. First off, we have dishes being washed in the stream. This is not a good idea because all the soap and food residue could end up in the stream and harm the fish and other aquatic creatures in the stream. Next, we have our personal cleanliness. We have our toothbrush, some soap, and then a towel. Maybe we're going to bathe in the stream. That's also not a good idea for the exact same reasons. We don't want to get that soap and our dirt and grime in that stream and harm any of the fish and aquatic creatures there. Next, we have some loud music. We just learned that we don't want to have any loud music in our campsite so that we're not disturbing other campers. So we want to make sure we're just turning that down if we're listening to music, or just turning it off completely and enjoying the sounds of nature. And then we'll make our way into the tent here. So we have a bunch of food. Maybe we'll have a midnight snack. And we brought our cool rocks we found today. We brought them inside. We don't want to bring any sort of rocks from where they were, just because critters live underneath of there and they need those as shelter. So we want to just leave those outside where we found them. We don't want to take them home with us. Again, if we find something that we think is really cool, we can just take a picture and then we can share that with our friends. And the food, definitely a big no-no inside your tent. Anything that is smelly, even like sunscreen or chapstick, we don't want to keep in there. We can attract animals and we don't want them in our tent at night, trust me. Next we have, underneath of our tent here, we have some wildflowers. So we weren't very careful when we set up our tent and we just plopped it right down wherever we best saw fit. And we plopped it down on some wildflowers. So we want to make sure that when we pitch our tent, we do it on bare dirt if possible, or a tent pad. Some campsites might have a tent pad, just anywhere that there's not some vegetation if possible. Next, we just have a bag of trash. We don't want to be leaving trash around because that is also going to attract wildlife. Again, anything that smells, we want to either put in the trash can or store in our vehicle or wherever. Just keep it away from the wildlife. Next, we have our campfire. For one, it is way too close to the tent. We don't want to have anything like that near the tent because it could catch on fire and that would be really bad. And then inside our fire, we have some food and some trash that we just wanted to get rid of, so we burned it. Well, it didn't really burn all the way down, so it's still going to be there. So we don't want to put any sort of trash or food in our campfire. Over here, we have some toilet paper we found underneath some rocks. We want to make sure that after we're done going to the bathroom, we want to toss that toilet paper either in a trash can if there's one nearby, or just put it in a bag and throw it away when you get home. All right, so how did you guys do finding all the stuff wrong in your campsite? I hope you did well. All right, so next, I am going to tell you about the 10 essentials, if this will stay, that you want to take with you when you go hiking or camping, maybe out further a little bit. You might not need all of these things if you're just taking a walk down the street, but if you are taking a hike in the wilderness, these are things you might want to take with you. So I always carry a backpack so I can carry all of this stuff with me. Excuse me. So first thing you want to make sure you bring, and this goes back to the know before you go, you want to bring a map and a compass. Or you can bring, if you're not going far, maybe just a cell phone if it's charged. But I always have something that I can navigate just in case I don't know where I am or I need to find my route. Always have a map and compass with you. And then next, I always make sure that I have a headlamp. You never know if you get stuck out there for some reason, or if it starts getting dark, or if even a storm comes in, it might get a little bit darker. So you want to make sure you have a source of light just in case you're in a pickle there. And I always bring either extra batteries, or I have a charger that I can use because this is just a rechargeable one, but I always make sure that's charged too. And then that can charge your cell phone and any other GPS or devices that you have with you. So next, we have sun protection. We always want to have sunscreen on, maybe sunglasses if it's snowy especially, because that could hurt your eyes, clothes to protect you from the sun. You just want to be protected, and that way, even in the winter time, you think you're not going to get a sunburn, but you definitely could. Next is your first aid kit. I just kind of made this one myself, but you want to make sure that you have like your basics, your Band-Aids, things like that in case something were to happen. In this, I also carry like insect repellent. I have some of that. And then I have some patch kits for a lot of my gear. Like if I'm backpacking, it has patch kits for my air pad for when I'm sleeping, just in case there's a hole in that or anything. Then I also have water purification tablets in here. Just in case you need extra water and you didn't bring enough, I have those in there as a backup. And then you always want to make sure you have a knife with you. Maybe your parents should carry the knife, but somebody might want to carry this. It's a good thing to have. You never know what you'll need it for. Maybe even a multi-tool so that you have the other tools with you, but it's always a good thing to have. Next, you want to have something to start a fire. I usually carry a lighter because that's the easiest way to do it, and a fire starter because that's just super simple. Just in case though the lighter gets wet or lost for some reason, I always also have storm-proof matches just in case. These are in a waterproof container so they won't get wet. They're going to be useful always. Then they even do have more fire starting stuff inside too. All right, next we have a shelter. I carry this blanket with me. You can also get smaller like emergency blankets from REI, sells them. You might need this just in case you're stuck out longer than you think, or it gets colder and you need to wrap up, or just it's helpful. You can use it as a sit pad too. It's just a very versatile thing. And I always have one in my pack with me. Next is food. You want to make sure you have some snacks with you. You don't want to hike hangry. Nobody likes that. So I always carry more snacks than I think I'm going to need. And then I usually always carry maybe a backpacking meal with me too, just in case, along with my stove and fuel. You just never know if you're going to be stuck out longer than you think, or you didn't bring enough food. That's always a useful thing to have. So extra food. Then the next thing is water. even if you're just going on a short little hike, it's always a good idea to have water with you. Don't want to get dehydrated. You want to make sure you're bringing extra water just in case you go through it faster than you think or it's warmer outside. And again, I have those extra tablets in my first aid kit just in case I need to collect more water and purify that water. And next we have some rain gear. You never know if the weather forecast is going to be right as far as rain goes, or you just want to be prepared. I always carry a rain jacket with me. Sometimes if I know it's going to rain, I'll also carry some rain pants and a hat maybe. And then finally, we want to bring some extra clothes. I usually carry at least a coat with me or a sweatshirt, just something in case the weather turns and it gets cold or you're stuck out at night or something like that. You always want to have some extra clothes to keep you warm. And that'll help you on top of your shelter, emergency bivvy, whatever you have with you. All right. Looks like we're all set to go on our adventure now. So where should we go? I guess I'll let you guys decide.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Amanda. I can think of many places that I want to go. And after seeing the review of what you pack in your backpack, you reminded me that I need a new headlamp this year because mine just finally crapped out. So thank you for those wonderful tips, for sharing the peak characters with us. I think that's a really fun way to remember the Leave No Trace principles. But of course, if anybody forgets what they are, a simple Google search can help you remember them. So I hope you learn something. I hope you're smart when you're outdoors, you're prepared, you're respectful, and that you have a great time. So thanks so much for joining us, and thanks, Amanda, again for your time.
Oh, thanks so much, Missy. Hey, everyone, have a great time today.